back, everybody. We are continuing our series where we bring some people who have gone through their own LSAT journey and come out on top onto the podcast. We're going to be grilling Ryan on all of his ins and outs of LSAT studying. Hopefully he has some nuggets of wisdom to share for us. I'm super excited.
I'm so excited.
By the way, my
here.
name is Bailey.
Hello, Bailey. Hi.
I'm Alex. Wow, you crushed it.
I'm always so good at that.
Intros are the hardest part. Yeah. And I'm Ryan.
Ryan, nice to have you here. I'm Alex. Yeah. Ryan, why don't you start by just sort of introducing yourself? Tell the audience who you are and just give us a little synopsis, a snapshot.
Absolutely. My name is Ryan. I proud Minnesotan born, and then grew up in Washington State. I was a big theater kid, started doing theater when I was 7, and I don't think that there was like a 3-month stretch where I wasn't in a show after that. I was big into school, big into like martial arts and whatnot, big old nerd, and then went to college at Western Washington University to study theater. I concentrated in acting and dramatic writing. Couple of my plays, well, one of my plays got some national attention from the Kennedy Center. And then the pandemic happened, and then I moved out to New York with my now wife. And I don't think you know this. I got a job at the Trader Joe's that is just a couple blocks away from all the courthouses in downtown Brooklyn. And so I talked to CUNY students, I talked to Brooklyn Law students, I talked to lawyers, I met a judge. I won't say his name, but I met a judge, and then actually ended up he invited me to come to his chambers, and we got to talk about like law and stuff. So I just got very interested in law just from, proximity. My aunt is a county attorney, so I've always been kind of adjacent. And then I just started realizing that like all of the things, my plays were always about like social justice and like identity and just like righting wrongs and things like that. And I realized all the things I was trying to do with theater might be more efficiently accomplished with law in this day and age. And so started studying for the LSAT, and then found Seven Sage, and here we are.
I love
That's
that.
incredible.
That's a strong why law. Because for a second I was going to be like, did you write in your applications why law, Trader Joe's? Because that's a factor.
Did. Yeah. There were a couple schools where I talked about, and Brooklyn Law, of course. I was like, yeah,
Wait, that's awesome.
Yeah.
No, I love that.
I think that's the Trader Joe's I go to, I imagine. I think there's probably only one in downtown Brooklyn.
In the big old bank with the windows?
Is it? Oh, that one. Oh, so not in that one, more like Cobble Hill, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I have been to that one. That one's beautiful.
It's the best one. Like I'm biased. I don't work there anymore, but it is the best one.
Yeah. Beautiful. I would say, as someone who's shopped at Trader Joe's in other places, any Trader Joe's that's not in New York City is better because you don't have to get it. You don't have literally any other Trader Joe's. It's a better experience.
Wait, this is actually a good question though, because do you think the Silver Lake Trader Joe's, the parking lot at the Silver Lake Trader Joe's, is that a better experience?
It's not. The thing is, what's funny though is you have to get used to it because it's like in no other Trader Joe's, you have to get in line as soon as you enter the door. That is a unique experience.
But hey, in West Coast Trader Joe's, you don't have 32 registers burning through customers. I know.
I know. It's true. It's
give and take.
You have to once you get acclimated, you actually realize it is highly efficient. But like it took it takes a little bit to get used to the fact that the line starts at the entry point, and that you should just shop while you're in line. But hey, we're all Trader Joe's fans.
You should go to the Trader Joe's in Queens. That's where I go. I walk across the bridge. I'm like, I'm not even going to go to the one in Brooklyn.
Well, the other thing is the Trader Joe's in New York, like oftentimes are like, if you go late in the day, they are like the shelves are bare.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. It's tough. It is tough. We do our best.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's all right. Yeah. Anyways, big fan of the brand. Well, that's cool. That's great. So how long ago did you decide that you wanted to apply or dabble?
It was like a little, like maybe April or June of last year.
Okay.
Or excuse me, the year before. And then like very passively studied for a little while. and then got very serious about it and like got a 7-stage subscription, got a coach in January of last year.
Great. So what was that beginning stage like? What were your ideas of what the LSAT would be? How did it end up to be exactly like you thought it would be? I'm sure.
Yeah.
Expectations, reality. There's always some
Yeah.
sort of mismatch.
I think what I will say in my favor is I think I did a good job of going in without expectations. Like,
I should say that's not pointed at you, Ryan. That's more
no,
pointed
of
at
course.
honestly me.
I
My
could tell you all these
expectations
terrible things
couldn't
that I
have been
thought. Oh
further.
my God.
Yeah,
I was like, this is going to be a piece of cake.
Yeah. I mean, I was like, I want to take the LSAT next week, and then I realized you can't
Same.
you can't do that.
Yeah.
And anyways, so just want to clarify. But yeah,
Of
sounds like
course.
you had a decent expectation compared to Bailey and I. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
well,
Like better than us. Yeah.
I got a little rude awakening when I was studying for it, and really thinking to myself, "Wow, I'm getting pretty good at logic games." And then it was some poor timing. I found
So you were
7
right before logic
right
games.
before. Like I studied the last month that they tested with logic games. I'm pretty sure. Like I started studying then. And I actually found 7-stage because when Khan Academy shut down their free LSAT prep, they funneled people to 7-stage. And I ended up here, and I was like, oh yeah, okay, pretty cool.
Great.
Yay,
Yeah.
I'm
So what
glad.
did you get? Did you start with a blind diagnostic?
I did. I didn't go in totally cold. I did a little bit of studying beforehand, like I was familiar with the question types, and I ended up with a 156, and I was very happy with that. I didn't really understand where that was. I was kind of going it alone. I wasn't studying very well. I was just kind of taking prep test after prep test, tale as old as time. But then I kind of like I spoke to my aunt about it. I spoke to a couple of people about it. I was like, oh, this is a decent score, and I might have some upward mobility here.
Yeah, absolutely.
And did we talk about that before? That was exactly where I started too. So twins and amazing.
Yeah, it's I realized it was pretty funny. I didn't do this on purpose, but I was just like looking back, and I ended up I took my first so it must have been April. I took my first diagnostic in April, and I took it on the same exact day the next year that I took my first LSAT. Yeah.
Crazy.
1 year.
Amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
And was your first LSAT your last LSAT?
No, it was not. I ended up taking it 3 times. In last year I took April, and then I took August and September. And basically what happened was I took the April test right where I'm sitting. I took it at home. And when I came back from my break, between sections 2 and 3, nothing happened, and the interface was blank. And I think I spoke to 6 separate people to try and figure out what was going on. I was told by one person, "You're done. You just can't do it." I was told by another person, "You have to call LSAC." And then I was told by another person, "Hang on," and then they fixed it. But that process took an hour and a half of me just sitting here in silence, staring at my camera. Yeah, it was tough. Yeah.
Less than ideal conditions, I would
And
say.
I'm a tutor now. I tell all my clients, like, I'm not warning you against online. Like, there are things you can do to make sure you have a good experience, but it's a roll of the dice. And my second 2 tests in a testing center in New Jersey, because all the ones in New York filled up, but it was actually very nice.
Honestly, it's probably more chilled
It really
situation
was.
when you're there.
It
Yeah.
really was. I can't recommend it highly enough. It was really nice.
Nice. Well, and this is good news
that-
for everybody who's taking the test August or later, because that is all going to be in person.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, taking a step back, like what was that initial period like before you took, like you said, you were sort of dabbling, like you weren't studying as seriously? Like what did that look like? Also, we
Yeah.
buried the lead. You are a 7-stage tutor, which we should
Right.
highlight.
Yes.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Best job I've ever had. It's so great.
Yeah, it is
I
great.
loved working at Trader Joe's.
Better than the Trader Joe's?
What?
Better than Trader Joe's?
I enjoy getting to the end of a workday and not having a mystery bruise. And working at Trader Joe's, you always have a mystery brews, and it's like,
Wait,
Yeah.
that's so funny.
yeah.
Something happened.
No, dabbling. Yeah, I was like before I was studying for the LSAT, I was actually thinking pretty hard about like getting like a welding certification, like going into trades. I was really just trying to figure out like where I wanted to commit my energy and what I wanted to really like invest my time in and figure out what would be good. And finally, like my then girlfriend just said to me like, I think you'd be a good lawyer. And I that was enough for me to like take the step to go figure out what the test was all about.
It'd be funny if you were like a really bad welder. And she's just like,
It's like, I actually just think you shouldn't be a welder. Please, no more.
you're like burning, something's on fire, and she's like, I think you'd be a great lawyer. That's crazy. We don't hear that very often, welding or
The
law,
welding to lawyer pipeline. Yeah.
Well, it's the pipeline splits,
I don't want to do any stolen valor. I didn't get very far down that.
You didn't write your
path.
why welding.
It illustrates like kind of where my head was at of just like I had feelers out everywhere. I was trying to figure out just like, am I going back to school? Am I like committing hard to Trader Joe's and like trying to get a management job? Like it ended up being that this was what excited me. And like I have always, I've always been a person that like if I'm good at something, I'll give it a try and see if I enjoy doing it because I figure that's like, a bonus going in. But it really did feel like I back before math got weird in calculus, there was that feeling of like when you really get the problem and it's like, oh, okay. And then this, the gears are turning. And I hadn't felt that feeling in a long time. And I started to when I was studying like the logic stuff. And that was really exciting.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's actually good. I mean, I think that it can feel we're trying to steer the podcast in a way where we're not just talking about the LSAT, but we're also talking about like people's paths and what led them here. And I think it is really interesting to hear, I don't know, like the more you talk to people, the more obviously there's like non-traditional students, but it's like, I don't know, that sort of implies traditional doesn't necessarily imply that it's like the majority of students, but I would say it's like the minority. It's by far not the majority, just want to be precise. The traditional as a word doesn't actually say anything about portion size, but it is like, that's the connotation to me. It's like when I was studying, it was like, I was older. I didn't, I didn't have like I just didn't fit the traditional path. And so I figured like I was like by far the outlier. And it's like, I don't know. I'm just spitballing here, but I would say probably most students aren't like traditional in one way or another. Yeah.
I mean, if my
And that
clients
sort of
are a representative slice, then absolutely. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. I wonder, like, actually, I'm kind of interested in hearing more. Like, you talked about how, like, what you were, if you could kind of draw, and this is like a little tangent, we'll go back to the LSAT, but if you could draw like a through line between what interests you about those things. You touched on like the things you were trying to do with your plays and feeling like you could do that. I think that's like an interesting thing that a lot of people should think about because this is a very heavy, weighty decision. And I think it can be a very hard one because it's not like pre-med where you're touching on things that you're studying things, if not medicine directly, like you're touching on things that there's a more linear link between the things you're studying and like, the stuff you're going to go on to study. The test that you take is based on knowledge in some way, shape, or form of the subject you're hoping to study. And like law is so different. And I don't know if you guys had this experience, but when I was considering applying to law school, just so many people would be like, why do you want to do this? Why do you want to do this? And it's even if you really are interested, it can be a very, very hard question to answer, but one that's like important to. And I'm wondering just like, how did you feel that? How did you answer it? What was the through line that you drew for yourself?
Yeah. So, this gets a little heavy, but we're gonna come out of it, I promise. I wrote plays. I'm half Korean and I'm half white, and I wrote a lot of plays about identity in that, like, I would use like Greek demigods as a way to abstract like the experience of being half one thing and half the other, right? And so I was very interested in this idea of like identity and like knowing not knowing, because my dad was adopted, so I don't speak Korean or anything like that. We don't have any like direct link to that. And so it came to be that I was working at Trader Joe's, and I was working on this play about Vincent Chin, the death of Vincent Chin, who was the first. His death was the first to be tried as a hate crime against an Asian American. And so I knew this name since I was like old enough to know names, right? Like I knew who he was before I knew who Abe Lincoln was. Because my dad was like very invested in us knowing our history and whatnot. But here's the thing. If you are a lawyer, and you for some reason listening to this, and you like shop at a Trader Joe's, I see you, and you're not hard to spot, because if there's if there's somebody well dressed who's buying only candy, and they are in a rush, odds are that is someone in the legal profession. At least in my store, where we were so close to so many courts and whatnot. And so I started kind of grilling them, as I would, when you're ringing someone up, they're kind of captive, and it's a good conversation starter if you guess someone's profession right. And I started asking them about, like, this play would be taking place in the courtroom a lot, and so I wanted to know, like, what mistakes do people make when they're writing lawyers? What can I do that is going to make a lawyer in the audience feel like I'm interested in what they're doing, and not like I'm just like grabbing their experience and like vomiting it back onto the stage without consideration, and in these conversations with them, I would end up drifting off the topic of the play and into just like law in general. And eventually I stopped asking how to write a lawyer, and I started asking how to become one. And eventually, that 2 days before my last LSAT, I ended up spotting somebody. He was actually wearing just a college sweatshirt, but an older guy who was buying a bunch of candy. And he lands at my.
Wait, sorry, why candy?
I didn't know this.
I don't know. I don't know. But it's
I'm like trying to resolve, reconcile, explain this, and it's not computing.
I think we're the restock depot, right? Like they all have their offices that, like, they need their sugar fix, and they just come to us for that. I say us. I don't work there anymore, but
your family. That's sort of things forever.
Once an employee, always
I
an employee.
imagine. I don't know.
Yeah, truly. But turns out he's a Supreme Court justice of Kings County, and then I get grand jury duty, and I'm working a couple floors below him, and we end up
on a grand jury.
I was on a grand jury for a month.
I've heard that's crazy. A very interesting experience.
I was so incredibly thankful that I had studied logic and like reading comprehension before I went in, because there were so many times, not to violate secrecy or anything, but when, a difference between a sufficient or a necessary condition would come into play. And I volunteered to be secretary. So I was like sitting where the defense usually sits. And it was just so valuable. But I was also sad that I didn't do it before I studied, because it would have been such good context for like, oh no, this stuff is so useful. But the reason I think of this is because when I asked him if he was a lawyer, I mentioned I was taking the LSAT, and the first thing he says is, "We should talk." And he spent the rest of the transaction trying to convince me to become a physical therapist, because I was thinking about that as well.
What?
because
that is what happens a lot when you talk to lawyers.
I've had plenty of those conversations.
Yeah, he said to me, the only people who should become lawyers are those who need to see something done in this life and can only do it by becoming a lawyer. And that really stuck with me, because it's exactly like you're saying. It's a really hard thing to just point to and say like that thing. But we ended up talking like after I'd had a couple weeks on the grand jury, and it was a totally different conversation, because just that little bit of context, it was just like, yeah, this is where I need to be. This is what I need to do. And Brooklyn Law, where I just got accepted, and I'm very much considering going, thank you, has has a program where you go like work in the DA's office there, and I'm very much considering that. That would be very interesting to me.
Yeah, that's
Nice.
awesome. That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that. That's
Yeah, of
really
course. Sorry,
cool.
a bit of a
I,
ramble, but yeah.
not at
No,
all. I think it's
I'm
also
picturing
yeah. Go
like
ahead.
oh, I was just gonna say I'm sitting here like as if I'm hoping that you put a good amount of this stuff in your applications because
Yeah.
this is a very interesting story. Like
Yeah.
very cool. I think that this is somebody who has very much thought through why law and why not law and ended up on like I have strong reasons to go here. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. What advice would you give to someone who was in your position without the benefit of working at Trader Joe's near
Right.
courts?
Right. I think that it's the same advice that I would have given myself on like the first day of
Also,
college.
just for the listener, we will loop back to the LSAT, but anyways, I just felt that because this is new territory for us, but I think it's important. I think this is actually like
Yeah.
really stuff that is very important to people. So Ryan, I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, absolutely. Um, I think it's the same advice I would give to someone on like the first day in the dorms at college, and it's the same advice I give to a lot of my clients regarding like strategies for studying or strategies for testing, which is like go into your search for community with the goal of making a pile of places you don't belong as big as you can, because that's the only way you're going to find the place that you do belong.
And that would be through exploring everything,
Well,
kind of,
just like,
or
we have
yeah,
those study groups on Seven Sage. I am loath to say it, but if you're careful and mindful, Reddit can be, a good tool.
sure, yeah.
There are other people in your position, and finding that community as early as possible is only going to help you out.
Yeah, totally agreed. I mean, I think also just talking to lawyers, and for some people, they know lawyers. For some people, there are lawyers in their family. For some people, they have easy access to that. And for a whole lot of people, they don't. And so that's obviously easier said than done. But I think Ryan's example is good in that you talk to strangers, you talk to people you didn't know at all. And the only possible downside to that is someone saying, I actually am not interested. Actually, I'll just take, I gotta,
Yeah.
here's my
Like
credit
no.
card, you know?
The worst they can say is no, and then
The
there's
worst that
plenty of
they
other
can say is
strangers
no.
out there.
And
Trust me,
so,
but there
you
are
know,
worse things that they can say to cashiers.
oh,
Just
sure,
trust
sure,
me
sure.
on
Yeah,
that.
yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I guess I'm trying to
Could be worse.
universalize the experience here to other people who are not necessarily at cashiers, but like seek people out. Seek out alumni of your wherever you went. Try to find people in the profession wherever you can, and like just reach out. And like I say this as if it's easy. I don't like cold outreach to people. Like I don't like doing this, and so it's advice that I would give to myself. Because honestly, talking to lawyers is what convinced me I didn't want to be a lawyer, which is just as important, if not more so, to find out. So, like I think your example is a good one. Bailey, how did you figure it out? Did you talk to lawyers? What did you do?
I talked to
You
some
just figured
lawyers.
it out.
Honestly, I just figured it out. I mean, I think it was something that I knew deep down. I thought that I wanted to go to law school. I really like teaching. I like learning. I wanted to eventually come back into academia. And I didn't really think that practicing law was genuinely the path I wanted to take. I was just like, oh, I'm good at the LSAT. It seems like a logical next step. So yeah, if you got that voice in the back of your head that's like, do you really want to do this? I mean, listen to it and explore it. Some of it might be like you're just scared, might be, yeah, exactly. Don't just like be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna trust that and never do anything. But figure out why you are wanting to do things and
Also,
why
you
you're
have
Hey,
to
not.
answer that question to get into a law school. Like you have to
exactly.
have
Literally.
a a
Yes.
a, a
Clear
believable,
why law, clear why
clearly
now.
communicable, um, compelling answer. So you should be thinking about this right now, no matter where you are in the process. And if you don't have an easy answer, that doesn't mean it's not for you. It just means you got to explore and you got to think about it. Because Ryan's answer is clear and clearly good. Clearly has gotten him into at least one school. So, he's thought about it and put it together in a great way. Let's loop back to the LSAT. So you were dabbling. I know you were in you were in Seven Stage Live classes. When did that
All the
start?
time. Oh yeah. Started like truly like January 1st. I took an intro class from Bailey, like study organization schedule class, and it convinced me to sign up for the live subscription. sent Bailey truly too long of an email that she was incredibly graceful to have
I don't even
responded
remember
to.
that.
Good. Don't look for it.
Perfect. And I'm glad that I responded, honestly. That's
you did.
good.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I am a person who has a lot of trouble holding myself to account outside of like formal academic contexts. And so starting the day with a live class, letting that catapult me into my own drilling with the curiosity that I kind of cultivated in that class. And then when there's a lull in energy, hitting another one and then letting that slingshot me to the end of the day was just incredibly helpful. Like I truly, my coaches, I worked with a couple, they were fantastic, but honestly, between the live classes and the coaching, I hands down would pick the live classes because it was just so valuable to me.
Great. Yeah. Well, Bailey, what's great about Bailey as a teacher? Let's.
Everybody hype me up.
We actually don't need to pay Bailey for her time if we just do this.
This is payment enough. Boost my ego.
I have had a lot of teachers in my people who were in a position to learn me something in my life that have brought levity into the process and have used it as a tool to great effect. I have never before had a teacher who only brings levity in when it is actually advancing the momentum of the class, but still brings it in all the time. I think that's a really that happens in a lot of classes at 7th stage, honestly. Like I'm floored by the tone that we managed to cultivate because I just think it is so valuable. I still drop into live classes sometimes because I just think
they're fun.
Yeah, truly.
Yeah,
wait, I'm
that's
glad.
So great. Yeah,
I did have to Google levity. I'm not gonna lie. All cards on the table.
I remember.
How did you? I now know that that's one of my core tenets in life.
Oh God! I will say that was one of my secret.
Let that be a lesson to you at home. You don't have to know what the word levity means to get a good score.
You can still be a great teacher. You can do good at the LSAT. I don't know what a lot of words mean. You should know that from just working with me, Alex, levity, from taking my classes.
Listen,
I never know what words
didn't
mean.
seem like one of them. I got to be honest. Context goes far, though. If you don't know, I mean, Bailey, maybe this is a great learning moment. So, what is your advice to someone at home who, when they don't know a word on the LSAT?
I was literally just going to do that. I was going to make us segue to that. So you treat it like a blank. You do not make any decisions one way or the other based on the vibes. I mean, you can grab the context around it, but like very safely kind of build an idea of it. But I'm constantly like, say that I read an LSAT question that was like, therefore, I don't know, Ryan has levity. I don't even know if that's the right way to phrase it. Therefore, Ryan has levity. I'd be like, oh, cool.
Say,
so Ryan has something.
Levity.
Okay, Ryan brings levity. Okay, so Ryan brings something
levity
to the table. I don't know what it is.
Yeah,
and then we're just going to treat it like a blank and we're going to get the understanding from around it. And a lot of times, like, I got really frustrated in my own studying when I would get down to like an RC question where it's like, what's the author's attitude? And one of the author's attitude answer choices, I didn't know any of the words in it. And I'd be like, oh my God, like, what do I do now? But it's just like, don't make a decision one way or another on that. Use cross-elimination. If you have reason to get rid of all those other ones, well then, yeah, even though I don't understand what this thing is, it has to be it. And similarly, just kind of like using cross-elimination, just when you're reading it in a text or in an LR stimulus, it's just like, don't need to worry about what this means. I'm going to focus on what is around it. Like there's that question about, therefore it is, oh my gosh, it is,
this is great.
I shouldn't have started this because I can't even finish it because I don't know the word. It is, imprudent to appear prudent. I'm like, I don't know what prudent means. I don't know what imprudent means. Yeah. It doesn't matter. There's another thing in the premises that talks about appearing perceived as a certain way, and you can get the meaning from around it.
Can I give you what is going to sound like a backhanded compliment, but it's genuinely not.
No, I love those. Yeah.
Okay. Like I actually really admire how readily you admit that you don't know a word, because honestly, like,
no, I admire that about myself too.
That goes so far in the opposite direction of what so it's honestly, I mean, and honestly, it kind of can get you in trouble in the opposite way. Like if you don't know what a word is, I mean, especially on the LSAT, like, yeah. I mean, using that technique that Bailey talked about, like there is going to be a situation where that happens to you.
Yeah.
And so That's great. Okay.
There's
May I
an
Tangent
ask a
LSAT
little
aside,
question
bit
about
onto
this
that?
too.
please,
Wait,
Ryan,
sorry, one
please.
last
Yes.
thing.
Oh yeah, please.
This one's about the teachers feigning their ignorance or no, feigning ignorance. Does that make sense? I
Okay,
guess like not.
stop talking about the words that you don't know. This is gonna go off the rails.
I swear to God, there's an LSAT
You're
question
gonna
that's
be like,
related
I
to
don't know what
this.
ignorance means, or something like that. And
You can take my word for it. I swear. Just look it up. Something about like students
yeah.
not trusting teachers if they do that. Credibility. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
I
Ryan,
think
what
I
were you gonna
vaguely
say?
remember that one. Yeah.
Yeah. And vague means like, not quite clear.
That one seems kind of blurry to me. Blurry vibes.
Yeah,
Am I
yeah.
right?
But
It's all
Okay,
Bailey
right.
speak.
What were you gonna say?
I think that what you are describing, Bailey, is absolutely essential. And I think for some students, not all, but for some people, some test takers, it's incredibly helpful to put something on top of it, which is just the smallest amount of research into Greek and Latin roots, because you don't need to memorize all these things, right? Like that's not practical. I happened to have like a bit of a basis in it going in. Um, and if you think about like if we take the word imprudent, if we put in front of possible, it becomes something that is not possible. Prudent. Where have I heard that word? Prude. What is a prude? Someone who's very proper. Not proper. Okay. And it doesn't work all the time, but being on the lookout for when it does work is really, really like it manufactures those moments where you like have a eureka and like boosts you, like Mario Kart boosts you into the next part of the passage. And the other thing I pair with that is just like be really, really specific and really, really strong in your guesses for what the words are, because that's going to tell you faster whether you're right or wrong. Whether you instead of making I think the word is vague. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that works.
Seems very vague in my mind. I don't know. I don't know. It's kind of blurry.
Okay, so let's see. So you're taking. What would you say in looking at the rest of your study process? Like, what did you do well? Where would you have room for improvement? Like holistically looking back, what worked, what didn't, what did you learn along the way?
I think that what I give myself a lot of credit for is getting back on the horse, because there was a pretty big slump in there when I was like work was very busy, and after the April test, I got a 167 in April, and my goal was 170. So I was feeling very good. But I was signed up for the June test, and I canceled because I knew that I wasn't studying at my best, and I really wanted to, but it took a long time. Like I think that experience of the technical difficulties was just very hard to get over. And then when I finally did get back into it, I think that what I struggled with and what I did well are kind of going hand in hand, which is I struggled to realize and accept that the way I was studying just wasn't working for me. Like the regimented, you do this, you do this, you do this, you do this, you have a calendar, you know exactly what you're doing for the week out, just wasn't like exciting to me. And then what I was very proud of myself for was having like, I took a leap of faith in that like really do as I say, not as I do. I stopped taking practice tests. The highest I ever scored on a practice test was a 169, and I got a 177 on my last test. And yeah, I know. The highest I ever blind reviewed was 172. It was truly just a case of like, God bless my coach Alex. It was
No relation.
Other Alex?
other Alex.
I was like, I didn't know Alex did coaching.
It was the passage selection drill for reading comprehension that changed everything for me. It just really made things click. And then I made they're over there. I could grab them, but I have a stack of flashcards literally this high. And what I did, like I had to stay at a hotel room the night before the test because I was in New Jersey. I just like laid them all out on the bed and didn't go to sleep until I named all of them correctly. I had all of the LR and RC cheat sheets. I turned both of those into flashcards, and the seven stage RC method, like Miro board as well. Um, and something about sorting it in my head like that, I was able to, I was anxious every test. I never stopped being anxious. And I don't think that many people will stop being anxious. But the difference between April and August and September is that in April and August, I would walk in or sit down at the computer and I would say, I'm anxious. And that is making me have a physical reaction in my body, and that is making me more anxious, and that is giving me more of a physical reaction in my body. And in September, I came in and I said, I'm anxious, but guess what? I have methods that work even when I'm anxious. And anxiety is not a barrier to the work that I have done. And it cut that cycle. And I was truly like, I think I was probably annoying the other people in the testing center. I was like joking and whatnot when we were like waiting to go in. Um, yeah, I'm always like on the lookout with my clients for when they kind of like cross the Rubicon of like, okay, you're ready. I trust you. Do your own thing. Like come to me, tell me what weird stuff you're doing that works for you, and we're gonna figure out how to make it work even better. Because I really believe that for a lot of people, um, that intuition has to come into it at some point to get your best result.
It's great. Yeah. Okay. So here's what I'm going to say, Ryan. It's really great that you figured out something that works for you. And I encourage everyone to do that. But I do think that like, I want to highlight for people, like something that comes up a lot for us, which is like, I look at this job like public health, where there's like a recommendation that works for the bulk of people. You know what I mean? And so what is important is to try that, and then to try it and do it, give it the old college try and then some, and then to figure out what works. And I'll say that what worked for Ryan, I would say probably will not work for most people. Like, we do recommend that most people do, you know, weekly PTs, that you don't take the PT until you're, you don't take the test until you're scoring above what your goal score is on the PT. But like, also something that I'm very like proud of here at Seven Stages, we're like not dogmatic. And I think we understand that there's not a one size fits all. And what we give you is what we have seen works the best for the vast majority of people. And what is incumbent upon you is to try that and be honest with yourself about what works and what doesn't. Don't take like the easy way out, but modify because of the knowledge that you have of yourself that of course, you know, we don't, and figure out what works. And what Ryan did is like kind of a perfect example of that, like a very non-traditional study method, but one that like you had good reason to pursue and one that worked for you. And so I just wanted to say that I think there's a lot there that like, um, to be there's a lot to learn.
Yeah, and let's be very clear. This is like I do not see my journey, my story at all as a story of seven stages method not working, right? Like there's no world where I get to where I got without being in that process and really analyzing it, being like introspective, retrospective, doing my wrong answer journalism, and figuring out like, okay, I need to be brave enough to like try this other thing. But like, there's no way I figure out what the right thing to try is without that groundwork.
Right. And also, I would say like where you deviate isn't what I would even say is like, it's not like core seven say it's more like macro study recommendations, which are like, even I would say probably are not even specific to seven stage, like taking regular PTs, doing them before you, like, I think you're going to see that recommendation everywhere. But the thing that I feel like we do better than, well, listen, we don't have to compare ourselves, that we do well, is I think we don't have a dogmatic approach. Like I say, I think we present what works best. I mean, I always tell students, like, I'll go to the like read the question stem first. Like, that's what we recommend. That's what I see work for the most people. Do I think it's the only way to do this? No, absolutely not. Um, but you should try it enough to see if it works for you, and then try the opposite. Like, you should, and I think that that's like, well, demonstrated in your story. What do you, what lessons from your own, how do you tutor people now? Like, how do you, like, what's your style? What do you, yeah, what do you enjoy about it?
I think that when it comes to tutoring, especially in the beginning of the process, I really lean on the twin pillars of like specificity and choice. I want to have like I never want my client to come to a session feeling like there's a rail. So I play a lot of Dungeons and Dragons, and running a tutoring session is very much like running an RPG where
Do
it's
you want to
like,
show is
oh yeah,
is it
yeah, this
Dungeons and
is
Dragons related?
Yeah, is
yeah,
that related?
yeah, yeah, yeah. This is a Baylor. My
Wait,
Like
that's
party
the
so
taught him.
similar
university?
to Bailey.
Baylor?
They killed him really fast, and I'm really mad about it, but it's fine. I only spent 16 hours painting him. So, but it's kind of the same thing going into sessions where it's like, okay, I've got this whole like web of like we can do this one first and then go here. Oh, you brought a question that you want to do instead of all this stuff that I prepared. Cool, let's do it. And it's really important to me that people come in and feel like if they don't like the first option I offer, they can take the second option. And if they don't like either, then that's great information because we know that we're not on the same page and we can take some time and get back on.
Makes sense. That's great. Well, this was awesome. Bailey, do you have any lingering questions?
We might have kind of touched on this at some point, but I'm always curious for like, did you have any sort of breakthrough? It doesn't have to be one turning point, but any different way that you thought about the test where it was like, oh yeah, it's kind of night and day now. It's okay if you don't have an answer.
That's a really good question. Bailey, can I be honest? I think
No,
I
you can't be honest. Please never. No, what are you gonna say?
it was
We
the
went over
gossip
this.
method. I think it was the gossip method because like
Yes.
I really and I like do a little variation of it where instead of just imagining that I'm gossiping like with somebody, I imagine that I have a friend who's really good at
Wait,
gossip.
quick. Do we want to tell
Yeah,
people
just
what the
explain
gossip
what
yeah,
it is.
Yeah.
Bailey, do you want to? Yeah, it's your baby.
Yeah, I mean, I usually use this for RC. It's like when you're getting real bored midway through the RC passage, you're like, why the hell are they wasting my time making me read this? You flip a switch and you're like, you know what? No, I'm at a party or I'm at tea with my friend and we are spilling the tea. We are, they're telling me the craziest thing that ever just happened. And any boring ass RC passage can turn into like, those scientists said what? Nobody believed them because of why? The author's being sassy. What do you mean the author's being sassy? Like, let's track that. It's kind of silly, but it really does work.
And then my acting brain comes in as like, no, we need real motivation. And so
okay, good. So you're like imparting motives,
I imagine my friend who is
development.
good at gossip sitting down in front of me and slapping a really boring article down on the table and saying, I have the best gossip you have ever heard, but you need to understand this thing about platypuses in order for me to impart it upon you.
Right.
So it
that's
motivates
good.
you. Got it. So that itself is not the gossip, but it is necessary.
And so you're curious the whole time. It's like, how is
understand.
this going to factor into how could this be? And I tell my clients about it all the time as an example of something that they should try and something that would work, but also as an example of like, you can get out there, you can get creative, you can get like, it doesn't have to be boring and we can be a little silly.
Absolutely. And
we have to
I
be a
think
little
that's
silly.
a great,
Fact.
In fact,
great
I think it's
message.
necessary.
Be a little silly. Silliness is a necessary condition.
Yeah. Bring
in my
whimsy
life.
back. Yeah.
I love that.
Well, awesome. Thank you so much, Ryan. Thanks for being here. Thanks for sharing a bit about the LSAT and a bit just about your journey in general. It's I think there's a lot for people there, and I'm glad we were able to touch on all of it because I think there's a lot of value in it. So thanks for coming.
Thank you guys
being so open about what brought you here, and and we're very excited. Congrats and good luck on
I'm
everything
excited.
that's
Keep us
left to come.
updated.
Yeah, I will.
Yes.
This is according to my my like listen time, this is my favorite podcast. So I'm happy.
Are you one
to
of
be
our
here.
top listeners?
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, that's great. Well, awesome. Well, thanks for listening at home. And we'll talk to you again soon. Bye.
Bye.